Hey everybody, welcome back to our seventh, I believe this is the seventh video in our series. At this point we've got most of the body of the rocket built. We have our fins attached. Got our launch lug on there, but these fins, you can see it wouldn't take much to break that, right? So in this one we're going to reinforce the fins with what's called fin fillets. Now to show you what these are before we get going, I'm going to use this bigger rocket. This is the Estes Mega Mosquito. And then I reinforced it for really much more powerful engines. For example, this rocket would run on G engines. The ones we're using are A. G engines are much more powerful. This is a heavier rocket, but if you look, you can see I don't just have the fins, I have a nice curve. And that extra material, which was actually epoxy in this case, you're going to be using glue. It's just that little curve right there. See that curve? It makes them much more strong. So that when our rocket falls, if everything doesn't go perfect, it hits the ground a little bit hard, it's not going to snap off our fins and kind of ruin our rocket. Now it's possible to repair it, but not always. So what I want to do is I want to prevent that problem from happening in the first place. So let's go, and we're going to start by using some Elmer's glue. You're going to need your finger, of course. I know everybody's got one. And a piece of paper towel to kind of clean up the mess, because it's going to get, maybe it might get all over here a little bit, okay? So first thing I want you to do, so the first thing I want you to do, let's go ahead and change this to the other view, is I'm just going to right over here on the side, I'm going to shake up my glue bottle, get it nice and mixed up. For this, it's important that you have perfect control as you're spurting out glue. Otherwise, you're going to have too much or not enough. You'll have empty spots and not enough. And then we'll use our finger to smooth it out and get that nice curve to it, okay? So let's take a look. And I'm just going to practice on this piece of paper here until I can squeeze out a pretty even line. Hey, that's pretty good. You know, you don't need to waste a ton of glue, but that's a pretty good line. So now I know how to control my glue when I'm squeezing it out. That's pretty important. And I'm going to clean off the end of this. And finally, because your fingers have stuff from out the day on there, we're going to be smoothing it on our rocket. We don't want to get a mess on our rocket. So I would go and clean your hands with soap and water. I'm going to use this, sorry about that. I'm going to use this hand sanitizer right here. So we want to make sure our fingers are fairly clean. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you are going to be rubbing them over the rocket. And I don't want to get even if your hands are clean, they still have your oils that's naturally occurring that keeps your skin from drying out. So we don't want to get that all over our rocket too much. No big deal, but we can figure it out. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab this. Let me make sure my camera's ready. Okay, I think I got it focused a little bit better. And I'm going to keep my paper towel handy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this glue bottle and kind of tilt it to the side a bit. And I'm going to do it dry first, just practice without squeezing. And I'm just going to run a small bead of glue down this side, and then another one right here. Actually, let's just do one at a time. So since I have 3 fins, each side needs one. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna have to do 6 fillets. If you have a 4-fin rocket, you'll have to do 8 fillets. If you were to make a 5-fin, you'd have to do 10, because each fin has 2 sides to it. Okay, got it going. I'm ready to go. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start all the way at the top. And I'm going to rest that glue right against there. I'm just going to squeeze out a consistent bead. And I'm just barely squeezing there. It doesn't take much. That's why I wanted you to practice here so you didn't put too much out. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my finger. My finger should be curved naturally. And I'm going to brush the glue down towards the end. Don't press super hard. We don't want to get rid of all the glue. We just want to have a nice smooth line. So I'm going to grab it. See how it's nice and smooth now? That's all we need. This will significantly, it doesn't seem like much, but this will significantly strengthen your rocket's fins. Okay, we've got that one done. We don't want to touch that one because it looks pretty darn good. I got a little extra up here on the fin and want to clean off my finger for the next one. That one's pretty decent. So let's go right up here because we want this one to stay there. Uh-oh, see I got glue dripping out. So I'm going to get rid of some of that. and go do my next one. I didn't do a very good job on this one. This one's not as good, but that's fine. It should look fine after we smooth it with our finger. There we go, done with that. Now you got to let it kind of dry before we because see right now gravity is keeping it where it is, but when I turn it over, it might leak the glue out. So you might want to set this down for a minute. Set this on something like here, I'll put it on my mug, let's say. My dirty mug. All right, let's use this. And so I can just set it on here and just let that chill for a minute and let those dry just for like maybe 1 or 2 minutes. We don't need to dry completely, just for the glue to get tacky so it doesn't run around like liquid. All right? So I'll wait for that and I'll come back in a minute. Okay, we're back. It's still a little bit wet, but I think it's dried up enough to where it's not going to run if we turn it over. So I'm going to now turn it to this section, and I'm going to reinforce these two. You can see mine has a little slight gap right there, so I'm going to want to make sure we get that taken care of. And that's what the fillets can do also, is if you had any inconsistencies in gluing the first part, this will really help you out. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to do 2 of them at a time here because I've had some experience. And again, it doesn't take much of a squeeze to get that much glue out. Let's see how it is. Got a little bit on the fin there, didn't I? I don't feel like I got this top part well enough. There we go. Got that one good. And now I'm going to go down here. Ooh, I got a little glue on my fingers. That's what the paper towel's for. Okay, got that one pretty good. I'm going to pause it and come back after this dries up a little bit. Okay, I'm back. They're not perfect, but they're pretty well dried up. And I have 2 more to do, just this last set. Okay. Okay, guys, so now we are done with our final set of fillets. And you can see I've got them smoothed out. And we want them smooth so they're aerodynamic. If one of them's not smooth, it might pull it slightly to one side. And it may not fly quite as good. It'll probably be fine, but now I'm going to sit there and I'm going to let this thing dry. If you want to, you can just set it right here, but I would be careful to get it stuck from the table if that glue was to drip down. But you can see here now, there's a slight curve to this. And it's not just that little thin. We now have a little bit of space in there that's going to really strengthen our fin really, really well. Okay, now in the next video, we have a few more steps, and we're going to basically put in the shock cord and and a few other things, and then we're going to be ready to prepare our rocket by painting it, and then eventually we will launch it. Thanks, everybody.